So today I have the pleasure of speaking to what my colleague, Dr. Pat Agnew, has dubbed the Elon Musk of podiatric diabetic research. And it's a real honor to have him here today. And he's going to live up to that billing, I'm sure. And I'm not going to go into all his accolades. He's got a gazillion. But the first thing I wanted to start with and welcome Dave is beautiful background of your facility. We've had a crazy year. I just got Barry Block's issue of Podiatry Management, and they were talking in one of the lead articles about the comorbidities with diabetes and hypertension with COVID. What have you seen on the front lines that you think would have some of the biggest impact to prevent death and some of the comorbidity things that we see down the line from what you've seen that maybe people aren't aware of? I know that's a very broad question, but fire away. And
yeah. Well, first of all, Ben, man, it's great to see you. And from this side of the U.S., happy pre-Turkey Day, man. It's great.
Me too.
It really is great to see you. I hope you're doing well. You look great, man. God dang. But Elon Musk and podiatry, that's pretty great. I have a Tesla, and I do have some solar city panels, so some Elon Musk solar panels, and I have friends that work right across over here at SpaceX. So I guess from the toe doctor standpoint, maybe I'm 2/3 of the way there. But anyway, vis-a-vis COVID. I mean, my God, we're, speaking via Zoom. Everyone's all Zoomed out or Teamsed out or meted out. And after all this time, we're all so fatigued from this virtual world peri-apocalyptically. I had a conversation maybe in late February with Will Lee, who's a great guy, someone you ought to interview. He's a longtime friend of mine. He's the head of the Angiogenesis Foundation. And Will had a paper, I think it was in the summer, on evaluating some lung biopsies from folks who had passed away from COVID. But before that, he was talking about some findings that he was having with me. We had this 2 or 3 hour conversation that just went on, and it was not boring at all. It was quite the opposite. And, one thing is fascinating. He said, look, this is not a pulmonary disease. COVID is a vascular disease. And it looks like he was right. I mean, this may have pulmonary components to it, but this does definitely seem to affect the endothelium and the microvasculature in a way that is profoundly deleterious for some folks that are particularly sensitive to it. This is why, if you're a foot doctor, one of the first things that people were seeing were these so-called COVID toes. Those are little microembolic phenomena and little microvasculitides, all the way to those sorts of lesions and other end stage kind of end vascular organs. And this is happening very likely in the central nervous system. It's happening in a bunch of other areas around the body. But it's a fascinating sort of thing to think about. And most recently, in a couple of papers, one from Will Lee's group and one from others, it looks like this whole vascular concept is really taking steam. In fact, last week, there was a wonderful article quoting Will in NPR, on NPR. I think it was in Morning Edition. You ought to look it up. I think we put it on our blog. And I think it'll give you a broad-based kind of idea about the whole enchilada.
Would it be fair to say then, for the non-doc folks that are watching this on YouTube, that the vector is respiratory droplets, but that the pathogenesis, once it gets inside the body, is more attracted to the endothelium? The surface.
Yeah, it looks that way. It looks like that's at least a significant part of it that's been largely, if it hasn't been ignored, it's been downplayed, in that people are talking about this like the flu, and it's not like the flu. I mean, sure, respiratory droplets, I mean, it being passed from person to person like another communicable disease, but the some of the end stage end organ kind of complications are decidedly different. I think we could say that.